You meet someone, and it feels perfect. The connection is electric, the conversations stretch until 3 a.m., and for the first time in forever, you feel genuinely hopeful. The world gets a little brighter, music sounds better, and you actually let yourself imagine a future with them. But then, a few weeks or maybe months in, you feel that old, familiar dread creeping back. You start doing that thing you always do. You pick a fight over nothing. You pull away the second they try to get closer. You find one tiny, insignificant flaw and magnify it until it completely eclipses everything good. Suddenly, this amazing person is covered in red flags you painted on them yourself. And before you know it, you're standing alone in the wreckage of another promising connection, wondering, how did I end up here again? If that sounds painfully familiar, let me be clear. It is not in your head, and it's not a coincidence. It's a subconscious pattern of self-protection. It's called relationship self-sabotage, and it's an unconscious process that reflects your deepest feelings about yourself and the world. Today, we're going to explore the psychology of why this happens, why you might be pushing away the very love you crave. And more importantly, we're going to talk about how you can finally break the cycle. The anatomy of self-sabotage. It's not your fault. First things first, I need you to really hear this. You're not doing this because you're broken or because you love chaos. You're doing it because a part of your brain is trying to protect you. Relationship sabotage is basically a defense mechanism. Think of it like a faulty fire alarm. Maybe years ago, in your childhood or a past relationship, there was a real fire. You got burned. Your brain logged that trauma and is now determined to never let that happen again. The problem is the alarm is now hypersensitive. It can't tell the difference between a destructive fire and the warmth of a healthy, loving connection. So, the moment it feels any warmth, it pulls the alarm, flooding your system with panic and convincing you to douse the flame before it has a chance to grow. This isn't you consciously choosing to mess things up. It's a set of involuntary thoughts and behaviors that undermine your relationship. These self-sabotaging habits are often rooted in your past, in the events and relationships that shaped how you see yourself and how you expect to be treated. We're talking about your attachment patterns from early childhood, your deepest fears, and the core beliefs you hold about your own worth. The behaviors themselves can look different for everyone. It might be defensiveness, where any comment feels like an attack. It could be a deep-seated mistrust that has you constantly looking for proof of betrayal. Or maybe you just struggle with healthy communication and resolving conflict. For some, it's criticizing their partner until the good is completely overshadowed. For others, it's pulling away and creating distance right when things start to get real. All these actions, no matter how different they seem, serve the same unconscious goal: to keep you safe from a threat you perceive. The tragedy is that the threat is usually the very intimacy and connection you've been longing for. You're not trying to ruin a good thing. Your mind is just trying to prevent old hurts, using a destructive and outdated playbook. To change the behavior, we have to understand that playbook. The ghost in your machine, understanding your attachment style. If you want to understand why you act the way you do in relationships, you have to look at your emotional blueprint. In psychology, one of the best tools for this is attachment theory. Developed by psychologist John Bowlby, the theory suggests that our earliest bonds with our caregivers create a working model for all our future relationships. This model, formed before we could even talk, sets our expectations for love, our comfort with intimacy, and how we react when things get tough. When our childhood needs are met with inconsistent care, it can lead to an insecure attachment style, which often powers the engine of self-sabotage. Let's focus on the two big ones: anxious and avoidant. First, anxious attachment. If you have an anxious attachment style, your core wound is a deep, terrifying fear of abandonment. As a child, your caregiver might have been inconsistent, sometimes warm and available, other times distant or overwhelmed. This created a sense of uncertainty. You learned that love was fragile and could vanish at any moment. As an adult, this shows up as a constant need for reassurance and being on high alert for any sign your partner might be pulling away. Does this sound familiar? Your partner has a quiet evening and your mind instantly spirals. What did I do? Are they mad at me? They're losing interest. This is the beginning of the end. A text that goes unanswered for an hour feels like a profound rejection. You might become what others call clingy or needy, always seeking validation that you're still loved and they aren't going to leave. You might even test your partner, creating small dramas just to see if they'll fight for you. Here's how this becomes sabotage. The constant need for reassurance can be draining for your partner. The jealousy and suspicion, born from your fear, erode trust. The very behaviors you use to pull your partner closer, the constant check-ins, the pleas for validation, end up pushing them away. You become so afraid of abandonment that you accidentally create the very circumstances for it to happen. Now for the other side of the coin, avoidant attachment. If you have an avoidant attachment style, your core wound is a deep discomfort with intimacy and an intense need for independence. As a child, you likely learned that expressing your needs led to rejection, or that you were supposed to be self-reliant. You figured out that emotional closeness was either unsafe or just not available, so you adapted by shutting down your need for it. Your motto became, "I'm fine on my own. I don't need anyone." As an adult, this turns into a fear of being engulfed by a relationship. You might be great in the early casual stages of dating, but as soon as real emotional intimacy enters the picture, you feel a powerful urge to run. This is when the sabotage starts. You'll start finding flaws in your partner, the way they chew, their laugh, their taste in movies. You convince yourself you're just not feeling it. You create distance by becoming emotionally unavailable, shutting down deep conversations, or burying yourself in work and hobbies. You put your independence above everything else. Here's how this is sabotage. Relationships need emotional intimacy to survive. By always pulling away, you starve the relationship of the oxygen it needs to breathe. Your partner is left feeling confused and neglected by your hot and cold behavior. You end things convinced it wasn't the right fit, never seeing that you didn't give it a chance to fit in the first place. You successfully protect your independence, but you stay profoundly alone. But here's the most important part. These styles are not who you are. They are learned strategies, and anything that has been learned can be unlearned. Recognizing your pattern is the first, most powerful step. The 4 hidden fears that drive. Sabotage attachment styles are the how, but to really get it, we have to look at the why. Underneath these patterns are powerful, often hidden fears that fuel our most destructive habits. Let's name them so we can start to take their power away. First is the fear of vulnerability and rejection. At its core, a real relationship requires vulnerability, the willingness to be truly seen. But for many of us, vulnerability feels like danger. We learned that opening up is an invitation for pain. So self-sabotage becomes a preemptive strike. It's a defense mechanism that screams, "I will reject you before you can reject me." It is building a huge wall around your heart and then complaining that no one ever comes to visit. This fear shows up as chronic defensiveness, or a mistrust so deep you're always searching for the betrayal you're sure is coming. By pushing people away, you control the story. The pain of loneliness can feel safer than the risk of rejection. Second is the fear of being unworthy. This is a deep, nagging belief that you don't deserve good things, especially love. This usually comes from low self-esteem. If you believe you're unlovable, a healthy relationship creates a ton of internal conflict. It doesn't line up with the story you tell yourself. So, your subconscious tries to fix the problem by proving your negative belief is true. How? By testing your partner. You create conflict to see if they'll leave. You make impossible demands. A partner needing a night alone isn't seen as healthy, but as proof that they've finally seen the real you and are pulling away. You push and push, waiting for them to finally give up, confirming the lie you've always believed about yourself. Third is the fear of engulfment, or losing yourself. This fear is huge for those with avoidant tendencies. It's the terror that a serious relationship means losing your identity and freedom. You see we as the death of me. Every step toward commitment, moving in, sharing plans, talking about the future, can feel like a cage door slamming shut. This fear makes you create distance to preserve yourself. You might refuse to commit, insist on an unhealthy amount of personal space, or even cheat as a desperate act to reclaim your autonomy. You suffocate the relationship not because you don't care, but because you're terrified it will suffocate you. Fourth and finally is the fear of repeating the past. Our brains are pattern-matching machines. If you grew up in a chaotic home or have been through a traumatic breakup, your mind is constantly scanning for signs that history is about to repeat itself. Your new partner's tone might remind you of a critical parent. A small disagreement can trigger the same dread you felt during huge fights in a past relationship. You're not responding to the person in front of you. You're reacting to the ghost of someone who hurt you before. This leads you to project negative motives onto your partner that they don't have, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. By treating your partner like they're your ex, you create so much tension that the new relationship starts to look just like the old one you were trying to escape. From sabotage to security. How to break the cycle. Knowing why you do it is half the battle, but the other half is action. Breaking these patterns is a journey, not a quick fix, but it's absolutely possible. It takes courage and a commitment to do things differently. Here are 5 real steps you can take to start turning things around. Step 1. Radical self-awareness. Identify your pattern. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. This first step is about becoming a detective in your own life. Get a journal and reflect on your past relationships with courageous honesty. When did things start to go wrong? What was the trigger? Was it a moment of intimacy? A talk about the future? Write down your signature moves. Are you a distancer who shuts down? Or a pursuer who gets anxious and clings? Just name it, without judgment. This is my pattern. This is what I do when I get scared. Step 2. Challenge your core beliefs. Your sabotaging habits are fueled by faulty beliefs like, I'm not worthy of love, or intimacy is a trap. It's time to put those beliefs on trial. When your inner critic whispers, they're just gonna leave you anyway, you have to talk back, challenge it with evidence. They've been kind and consistent. This fear is about my past, not my present. Actively look for proof that contradicts your fears. Keep a list of the good moments. You're essentially retraining your brain to see reality, not just what your fear predicts. Step 3. Learn to communicate your fear, not from your fear. This skill can change everything. Communicating from your fear sounds like this. Why are you being so quiet? Are you mad at me? You always do this. It's an accusation. Communicating your fear sounds like this. When you get quiet, the story I tell myself is that I did something wrong and you're upset. It makes me anxious because I really value our connection. Feel the difference? The first is an attack. The second is a vulnerable invitation. It lets your partner be your ally against the fear, not the target of it. This one shift can stop the sabotage cycle in its tracks. Step 4. Practice tolerating discomfort. Your urge to sabotage is an escape hatch from uncomfortable feelings like vulnerability or uncertainty. The way out is to build your ability to sit with that discomfort without reacting. It's like a muscle. The next time you feel that panic, that urge to pick a fight or run away, just pause, breathe, notice the feeling, and for just a few minutes, do nothing. For an anxious person, this might mean not sending that third text. For an avoidant person, it might mean staying in an emotional conversation instead of shutting down. Every time you tolerate the discomfort, you weaken the old destructive habit and build a new, healthier one. Step 5. Redefine self-protection. For years, you've thought self-protection meant building walls and running for the exit. It's time for a new definition. True self-protection isn't about avoiding hurt. It's about trusting your own resilience to handle it if it comes. It's not about walls. It's about boundaries. A wall keeps everyone out. A boundary teaches people where the door is and how to treat you with respect. It's about choosing partners who prove they're safe. And most of all, trusting yourself to walk away from something that's genuinely unhealthy, instead of destroying something that could be beautiful. Breaking these patterns is a process, and if any of this resonated with you, you've already taken the most important step: awareness. You're starting to see the playbook, and that's huge. To help with this, I want you to do something brave. In the comments below, share one pattern or fear you recognized in yourself. You don't have to tell your whole life story, just one piece. Seeing each other's experiences is one of the best ways to remember that you are not alone in this. And if you want to keep learning how to build better relationships, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. We explore topics like this every week. For a long time, you may have believed that you're the problem, that you're the one who ruins everything. I hope that today, you can start to see a new truth. You don't ruin relationships. You've been fiercely and sometimes clumsily protecting yourself with old tools that just don't work anymore. The cycle of self-sabotage is not a life sentence. It's a pattern born of old wounds, and today, you've learned how to start healing them. The path forward is through awareness, challenging the lies your fear tells you, learning to communicate with vulnerability, and slowly building trust in yourself and in the possibility of a different kind of love. You are not broken. You are a human being who learned to shield a wounded heart. The love you want isn't something you have to prove you're worthy of. It's something you have to learn to let in. And that beautiful, brave journey can start right now.